What's good? This is Trey with fearlessboss.com coming to you with a video. I'm going to talk about get rich or die trying, what that means to me and what that should mean to you. It doesn't have to mean, you're greedy. It doesn't have to mean you're unethical, anything like that. It's just a mentality that separates you from the average people, the people that are just living paycheck to paycheck, that are just going to stay there, that are just going to stay complacent. Okay, that mentality, you have to move away from that mentality. If you want to start successful online business, you want to be successful financially, you want freedom, this is a mentality you need to take on, and you get to determine what this means for you. So I'm not here to tell you to be me. I'm here to tell you to think for yourself, but think outside the box, think differently from everyone else. Everyone else is focused on paying their bills. You should be focused on getting rich. This is a different mentality. You're thinking abundantly. There is no limit on income. There's no limit on how much money you can make. So why would you limit yourself? Why would you say I only want to make a couple thousand with my online business, or I only want to just pay my bills? That's the mentality that got you stuck at where the position you're at right now. It's your mind, your mentality that got you there. Okay. If I go and take a successful man, somebody who's extremely successful and was able to maintain that success, if I take your brain out of your head and replace it with that successful man, and I put him in your position, give him a couple months, he'll be out of your position. He'll be, you know, abundant, making an abundance of money, of income. Okay, so it's a mindset thing. So this video is about the mindset. Okay, and once you fix that mindset, once you start to elevate your thinking, things start to change. You start to take different actions. You start to do things that um basically shake you up, get you to where you want to be. So let's talk about this further. So first thing you want to do is define rich. So rich is, you know, wealthy. Okay, we're talking about having enough money to live a lifestyle that you can only dream of at the moment. Okay, so just because you can only dream of it doesn't mean it can't become a reality at some point in the future. So, but you need to define rich. So, what is rich for you? Some people, I'm not talking about rich with the society rich, where you have a Lamborghini, five Ferraris, a Bentley, Rolls Royce. You know what I'm saying? You don't need all that. Okay, that's materialistic items that don't really matter. It's kind of like when you buy the new iPhone. It's like after a couple of days, it's like it's no big deal. That's the same thing with any materialistic item. I don't care what it is. You buy it, it's cool for a couple of days. After a couple of days, no big deal. All right, so we're talking about rich as in being able to live comfortably, right? So what does that mean for you? Is that 3,000 per month? These are just random numbers, but what is that number for you? You got to write that down and know what your goal is. Okay. Um you can make short-term goals and long-term goals. So for the short term, you can say, okay, right now, 3,000 per month would allow me to kind of, maybe allow you to quit your job, or it will allow you to stop worrying about the bills, or whatever the situation may be. What is your income goal? Okay. 3,000 per month, 5,000 per month, 10,000 per month, 100,000 per month, a million per month. Okay, a million per month. Okay, that is something, you know, obviously that's, really out there. So that's something you would put as a long-term goal. But like something like 3,000 per month or 5,000 per month, that doesn't have to take a long time to get there. Whether you believe it or not, you can hit 3,000 per month, 5,000 per month very quickly if you have an action plan and you have the ability to understand what it takes to achieve that goal. So you have the work ethic, you have the mindset, the discipline, and you go and take action. You stop worrying, stop thinking about it, stop dreaming about it, stop praying about it, worrying about it, whatever the issue is, and go and take action. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with praying. I pray, okay, but I don't just pray and leave it at that. I go and take action, okay. It's kind of like the whole faith without works. Okay, if you have faith and you don't have any work, you don't do anything, you don't really have faith because you're not doing anything. You're saying, you know, I want something to happen, but I'm not going to, put some skin in the game. I'm not actually gonna put myself on the line, make any sacrifices or anything. I just want it to happen. That's kind of, to me, that's not true faith. True faith is when you believe in something and then you go and take actions that prove your belief, right? So, define rich. What is your goal? Write it down. For me, I don't really have a limit, to be honest with you, when it comes to income goal, because money, actually, let me go into the next slide before I talk about that. So, okay, why do you want to be rich? Freedom, happiness, fun, charity, success, achievement. Okay, these are some of the reasons you might want to be rich. So this is what I was getting into. Okay, money, to me, it represents freedom. When you have money, you have freedom, you have power. You can do things not just for yourself but for others. And I think that's what kind of, for me, that's what success is all about. It's about being able to help others. So one thing I love about online marketing, is that it allows me to help others around the world that without the internet, I wouldn't be able to access those people. So I can be helping someone in China, increase their income with my advice, with my training, with my experience, with my coaching. I can help someone do that. And that's powerful. To me, that feels good. I wake up in the morning, I get an email from someone saying, "Hey, thanks for helping me out. Thanks for this. Thanks for whatever." I feel good about that. Knowing that I helped someone that I may not even, never really get to see, but I was still able to make an impact on that person's life. So freedom for me, you know, success, achievement, achieving my goals, success, charity. Okay, when you get to a certain income, you want to start giving back. Even if you're not at a high level income, just giving $100 to a homeless man, being able to do something like that, you know how great that feels when you can give a homeless man $100, even if you don't know what he's gonna do with the $100. Just to be able to do that and not have to worry about it feels good, right? So the whole thing about money. People always say some bad stuff about money. When you have money, you can help people. Without money, yes, you can help people. Not as you can't be as impactful, I guess. Well, actually, I take that back, because you can be impactful to people's lives without money. But what I'm saying is, with money, you can just do a lot of different things. Okay. As far as just giving money away to help somebody pay their bills, you know, paying tithes for church, um, just being able to help people financially, because the world is run, what I'm saying, you have to pay your bills, you have to pay your taxes. People need money, okay? Point blank. So if you have money, now you can give, okay? That's just the way I look at it. So yeah, these are some of the reasons you might want to, look at. Why do I want to be rich? Okay. What are you willing to sacrifice? It's like, in order to get something, you have to give something, right? And you have to give things up. So for me, what I had to sacrifice was social life. Okay. I'm not saying you have no social life, but you have to cut back. Can't be at the club every night. Can't be, going out wasting time. That your time, now you have to realize time is your most valuable resource. If you want to make an impact in this world, if you want to help people, if you want to achieve your goals, time is very important. You have to start looking at your time and managing it, and the easiest way to manage your time is just to get your priorities in check. But sacrifice is no, it's important. If you're gonna start a business, online business, or online, any type of business, it doesn't have to be online, offline, any type of goal you want to achieve, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices. Social life, you might have to make a sacrifice in that category. Your hobbies, you might not be able to do your hobbies as much as you'd like to. Instant gratification, you have to resist instant gratification on a daily basis. What I mean by instant gratification is basically doing the easy thing. You know what I'm saying? Instead of spending time working on your business, you only put in a couple minutes and then you go take a nap or something like that. Like, you gotta get disciplined, you gotta get serious. So instant gratification, you have to see it, you have to be aware of it, and then resist it. Your love life, okay. You got to be careful there, because what I'm saying, if you have someone in your life that you really love, you don't want to lose them. So you got to be careful there. But at the same time, you may have to make some form of sacrifice in that category, but you can always figure out. That's what you can always sit down, strategize. How can I, you know, still be able to show this person that I love them, whatever. However you do that without um making it seem like your goals are more important than them. So that's something you got to work out, right? Sleep, you may have to take, get less hours of sleep depending on what you got going on in your life. If you're working a job or whatever situation may be, you got kids to take care of, you may have to sleep less hours per night, okay? You know, maybe you usually get 8 hours of sleep. Now you got to go down to 6. Okay, I would not tell anybody to get less than 6 hours of sleep, because I don't think it's a good idea to try to do something with negative energy. So like, if you're trying to do something and you're just tired, it's like you're doing it with negative energy. And I mean, if you love what you're doing, if you enjoy what you're doing, then it's no problem. But if you know what I'm saying, what you're doing is kind of tough and it's not really uh that fun, or maybe it'll be fun at some other point, but right now, especially if you're starting an online business, if you're doing something, you're not making any money or getting any results in the beginning, it's kind of tough to continue. So it's like, you need sleep, you need energy. So I'm not going to tell you only sacrifice sleep and only get 2 hours of sleep. I'm not going to tell you to do that. That's not the smartest thing to do. But if you have to run on 6 hours of sleep, then make it happen. 6 hours of sleep, you can still function and be healthy with 6 hours of sleep. But you just have to look at your situation, know what's going on, make the right decisions, because you do have to make sacrifices in order to achieve something that you have never achieved before. Materialistic wants, you have to just forget about that. Okay, now you have to start investing money into your goals, whatever that may be. If you're starting an online business, you might have to invest in paid traffic, you might have to invest in tools, resources, a new computer, a new laptop, a new microphone, whatever it is. But new clothes, new shoes, like that, like, you got to forget about that, because you start making money, and you start achieving your goals, you'll get to a point where you'll be able to afford all that other stuff, and then it's like everything will be cool. But right now, you got to take your focus off materialistic items. What is your plan? You need a plan. Okay, it doesn't matter how smart you are. You give a plan to a guy, average man, and then you tell him, here's a plan to make $1 million a year, and he goes and applies the steps in that plan. Then you go up to the smart person and you tell him, go and make $1 million a year. I guarantee the average person is going to hit his goal before the smart guy, because the average guy has a specific and direct plan. Whereas a smart guy, he's going to be like, okay, I want to make $1 million. Now, now what? How am I going to do it? There's so many different ways to make $1 million. Now he has to choose something. He has to focus on it. He doesn't know if it's going to work. You know what I'm saying? He has to work on his mindset, get his mind right. Even if he's smart, it doesn't necessarily mean he's perseverant. It doesn't necessarily mean he's, able to discipline himself and focus on one thing at a time. Whereas if I give you a plan, you just got to focus on that plan. Okay. All you got to do is have faith, take action. So you need a plan. You need to know who you're going to help. Money comes from helping people, making an impact on people's lives, doing something to solve a problem. Okay, so if you're solving a problem, it's somebody's problem, so you're helping someone. That's how you make money. What will you change? Okay, how will you change their lives? How will you make their lives better? What will you sell? Something has to be sold. How are you going to make money if nothing is being sold? What will you do? What do you have to do to achieve that goal? You know what I'm saying? That's the most important thing. You have to do something. What are you going to do? All right. So that's kind of some questions you need to ask yourself. And this right here, this is like the thing that is left out, okay? You have, this is the kind of mindset you need to have. Absolute, whatever it takes, willing to die commitment. You have to be willing to die for your goals. What do I mean by that? You have to be willing to be embarrassed. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to embrace fear. You have to be willing to, take some L's, lose sometimes. You're not always going to win. And when I say win, I mean like if you go in and you try to achieve a small goal, you're not always going to achieve that goal. If you keep pushing, you'll get there at some point. So that's why it's like you have to have that whatever it takes, willing to die commitment, because knowing that there's going to be some failures, there's going to be some obstacles in your way, if you have this mentality, you can't lose. Okay? You're doing something new. You're striving to achieve a new goal. There's going to be resistance. Understand that. Rap, embrace it. Stop wishing for things to be easier. Stop wishing for, life to get easier. Just realize what the situation is. Be real about it. Understand what it is and do something about it. And the one thing is, you have to have this mentality, because if you don't, you're going to give up at some point. You're going to be too soft with your actions, and then it's just going to take forever to get to where you want to be. There's not going to be any excitement. You're not going to achieve your goal. It's going to take forever to achieve your goals. And it's all because you have your foot on the brakes. You have to take your foot off the brakes and you have to floor it. You have to go 100 miles per hour. You have to look forward. Don't look in the rearview mirror. Don't look back. This is a new you. Real success will require you to die to the old you and become a new you. Okay, this kind of stuff makes people feel uncomfortable because it's like they don't understand. They don't know. They think that there's some way to just make money and it'll be easy. I don't know. I have not stumbled upon it. I've been marketing online for 8 years. I have yet to find something that's just easy. If there was something that was easy, I would just say, hey, go do this. And when I say easy, there are some things that are easy in comparison to other things. But everything, no matter what you do, there's going to require some type of action, right? Some type of persistent action, consistent action, some form of discipline is necessary. And discipline is not easy, right? If discipline was easy, then there'd be a lot more disciplined people in this world. Most people just want to go with the flow and just, don't take action until they have to. Whereas when you are striving towards a goal, you have to find that discipline. You have to find that motivation within yourself. So shift your mentality, move away from your old identity, take on the identity necessary to help you achieve your goals. So basically the old you, forget about it. Okay. If you're known to be a shy person, forget about that. You're going to get out of that shyness. If you're going towards a goal that requires you to be extroverted or talk more, whatever the situation may be, embrace that and just, face your fear and go do it. That's what I'm talking about here. Like whatever your old identity is, that identity wasn't able to get you to where you wanted to be. So you have to destroy that identity and take on a new identity. Embrace the new this word is tripping me up. Identity. All right, identity. Embrace it. You need to take on a new identity. This will help you achieve your goals. So it's all about, getting out your comfort zone. Coach yourself as if you were controlling a video game character, or get a real coach. So just be real with yourself. Know what the situation is. Do what you have to do. Don't sugarcoat things. If you're having a hard time pushing yourself, go and get a coach. All right. So I hope this video kind of, helped you out, helped you understand what it takes to achieve your goals, get rich, and die trying, what that can mean for you, what that means for me. It doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be about, being ruthless or unethical or over aggressive or anything like that. It's just about having a goal and striving towards achieving that goal and not placing limits on yourself. So if you want more free advice, go to fearlessboss.com. I'll drop a link in the description. Also, I'm offering one-on-one free Skype coaching calls to help you achieve your goals. If you're interested in that, you can click the link in the description and go to the website fearlessboss.com/go/coach app. Thanks for watching. Peace.